now I'm just gonna change the name because it should pop up in a second.
In a second.
Bang bang. Here we go. Pops right up. Wait. Oh, that was streamed 2 months ago. That's not the one.
Take your time, brother.
Oh,
There
welcome.
we go. Now we're live.
All right.
Now we're live, baby.
I gotta edit
We're here now.
episode 31.
Ladies and gentlemen. All right, yeah, as we get our technical difficulties together. There we go. We're so sorry that we're late, man. We're usually
We're
punctual.
always on time.
Well, I guess it depends on who you are. Um, we're live everywhere we should be, and probably a couple places we shouldn't. But shout out to us, you know, just here in the building. I'm way ahead of you.
All right. I just made the title episode 31. Oh, 10 men versus one gorilla. It's supposed to be 100.
No, oh gosh, man, you forgot a zero, bro.
They be dead. Did it. All right. Ready? I think we're ready. Do we have a quote to start us off?
Sure, yeah, I got a quote, man.
We got a quote. And then we'll go into that. And then, I don't know, whatever else we want to talk about.
Whatever else.
All right. Oh, let me get a time where we're at on time. So
I can
one,
just, it don't matter.
yeah,
We can just go.
152. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Deal Podcast with myself, Brandon Haley, and
Mr. Cleon Deal. Hello.
welcome back to the podcast studio. We got a new rug. You guys
got
can't
a
see
new
it
rug,
just
man.
yet. If you join the Instagram live, I just show you with the phone. But other than that,
I could just pick it up.
we got a new rug. So shout out that. It says Real Deal Podcast on it.
You got some merch, baby.
And we love it. We appreciate you guys tuning in and donating all your time and money eventually.
Yeah.
So we can buy more rugs, you know?
More rugs. That's the goal of this whole thing. Just to get some rugs, man.
Just to get some rugs, have some fun, and hang out with you guys. But today we do have a deal of the day. I hope it's been a minute. And yeah, we have one. So
yeah.
what is it? What are we talking about? What's the deal of the day?
So Brandon is feeling the call of faith today. He wanted to talk about faith. So I have something here regarding faith centered around it. It's a quote from the late great Martin Luther King Jr. It says, "Faith is taking the step." Oh, I'm sorry. Let me start over. Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase.
We got too many cameras. I can't even look. I
Yeah,
have to look
now
at you
you
through
can't
the
see
camera.
me.
Like, oh no, wait. Well, I mean, you're literally right on my front. But I'm like, wait,
It's a little trippy.
I need to lower my camera. But I guess we gotta do it for the views now. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Repeat that last part. Taking a step, and I just got tripped out by looking and see in the cameras.
Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase.
Yep. So, what does that mean? And why would you take the first step?
What does it mean? It means that obviously you don't know what's going to happen. Faith itself means you're just kind of diving into it, hoping for the best, and believing for the best. I guess hoping and believing are two different things.
I agree. So yeah, well, hope and believe.
Because hope is like I hope it have. Believe is like I believe is you know what I'm saying.
I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, faith is basically not just a religious thing, but it's doing things without having all the evidence and not knowing the outcome.
Right.
But still moving forward positively. And in a world we live in, that could be very scary because a lot of times we want to see it be tangible. And what if somebody always thinks worst case scenario? They're like, oh, I don't want to take that first step because I can't see what's at the top of those stairs.
Right.
What if it's something that's there to kill me? What if it's $1 million? You know? So what would you tell the people that always think worst case scenario when it comes to taking that first faith step.
Well, the problem with life is that we never know what's gonna happen. You might as well hope, you might as well believe it's gonna be something positive at the end of the day.
Enough bad stuff happens to
You know
where
what I'm
you
saying? Like I think that you should always have a threshold for bad things to happen in your life at some point. But at the end of the day, man, like if everything you decide is going to be negative, you're never going to move. You're going to be
Mhm.
frozen and paralyzed in fear for your whole life. And then a life where you're spent frozen in fear is a life that once you get to the end of it, it's going to be filled with a bunch of regret.
Yeah.
The worst thing that anybody ever has to think is what if.
Mhm.
That's the worst thing ever. So at the end of the day, man, like it just some things are
Mhm.
gonna go well, some things aren't, but it is what it is. You might as well believe something's gonna go well. You have that much more of a chance for it to do so.
Yeah, have that mentality. Sometimes I listen to this meditation. It says it's called "What If," but it
Hmm.
basically goes over like, what if it all works out?
Right.
What if today is the day where something good happens to you? And then there's what's the word I'm looking for? Where it just keeps good things keep happening to you.
I don't know what
Whatever, you
word
know what
that
I'm
is.
saying. He like everything just keeps being good.
Right.
So it helps prime your mindset to like, hey, it's not everything isn't always against you or going to work out and be bad.
Right.
So just have that faith and keep moving forward, which leads us to talk about the I guess what everybody wants to talk about, the 100 men versus one gorilla, because whoever wants to partake in that is going to need a lot of faith,
A lot of faith.
because that is something that there is unseen. And yeah, that's a little crazy.
Yeah, so
What's your thoughts on that?
yeah, this is so for anybody not familiar, there's a debate going on right now on social media, asking who would win in a battle between 100 men, and one gorilla. This originally started from somebody coming out and saying, "I feel like 100 men could beat a gorilla if they really locked in," and then everybody else kind of chimed in on it.
Hmm.
Um, I think that 100 men can win this battle. I The question I have is, can we choose the 100? Because I feel like if you got like 20 professional fighters and then like 20 just super strong dudes
Yeah,
and then like you
that's
know what I'm saying?
exactly what I was thinking. So like, you wouldn't want like 20 of me because I'm like 5'6",
Yeah.
or you wouldn't want like 20 Asians. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Because
What if they're
or
Bruce Lee?
100 Asians. What if? Well, you got you got a point, but most of them are a
Yeah.
little tiny.
Yeah, I think that if you can choose the 100, sure, definitely. I think that 100 men should win. I don't see why they wouldn't. I get how strong gorillas are. They're very large things, but coordinated, if you got, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, if you got the right people, easy money. If you're talking about just 100 randoms that you just brought off the street, the problem is only 20% of them are actually going to be willing to fight. The other 80 is going to be scared and run away, and then you got 20 versus 1, and then they don't win that battle at all.
Side note, real quick. Side note: can you share your live on TikTok to my live on
Can I
TikTok?
share it to you?
Can I join into your live
Can I
from
add
mine?
you as a guest?
Yeah,
Yeah, as what?
the Haley 01.
Okay, I just invited you. This time, yeah. But yeah, man, I think that if you can choose your team, I think 100 wins. I think 100 men win.
Well, it definitely is. They would 100% based on just being able to outpower it with
Yeah,
numbers,
exactly.
but there's guaranteed fatalities.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I want to be clear.
I
People are dying.
I want to
People
be
are
the
definitely
person in the
dying.
back.
People are definitely dying. But I think at the end, when the battle is over, I think the 100 men, it probably ends up like 60 at the end
Yeah,
of it, you know?
I wouldn't partake.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be there. No,
What
no,
if
no,
it
no,
was
no.
like, what if it was like every person that survived and won $1 million?
Every person that survived won $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they clean them up. I think they cleaned the gorilla up quick. I think. I
But
think
there's going to be at least 10 of them that didn't, that
I agree.
you had to sacrifice for the greater good.
I mean, yeah, because somebody got to go feel it out first. Somebody got to be
And
crazy
then
enough to start it off.
with that much money on the line, I think I would just run in and dive and then just play dead for the whole time and hope that they beat them.
This is why it's people like you that aren't gonna help get the job done. You're gonna be in the way.
They're gonna push me in the way, and then I'm gonna play dead real quick. Like, oh no, I'm hurt. Probably gonna get like some internal bleeding, so I might die. Probably gonna get stepped on or punched on my way down to hiding, and then then hopefully they win and I get $1 million and I'm up out of there.
Yeah, so, man, it's a real strategy thing, man.
What about the memes they were making on that 100 women versus accountability?
Oh gosh, oh god, I did see that.
We love you, women. We love you, ladies.
Yeah, those they had 100 men versus commitment, 100 women versus accountability.
Men versus commitment is crazy.
It's like, whoa, guys, how did this get here? This was supposed to be lighthearted and fun. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that.
I know how to send stuff on TikTok.
Yeah, look at you, man. Look at you. But yeah, obviously those people who would engage in, I feel like if you did a poll, I feel like you could definitely get 100 people to sign up for it. I'm not saying that we should do it. I'm not saying that we should, but I definitely think you could get 100 people to volunteer for it if there was really, even if there wasn't a cash prize involved. I feel like there are people who are great. People were eating Tide Pods on the internet for a while. I think they'll definitely volunteer to go jump into the ring. I think so.
Man, human behavior is crazy sometimes.
It's an anomaly and it's a mystery.
And in this social media world, there's people do anything for clout. Anything for clout.
Yeah.
Even like start a podcast.
Oh, that's crazy.
Nah, we don't do it. We just do this to try and hang out and help as many people as possible. So we appreciate you guys when you like, comment, or share. No matter how much or how little you do it, we definitely appreciate it. Appreciate it all. We don't like study the analytics, but we do look at it. We don't obsess over the analytics and stuff because then it just kind of demoralize you when something does good and something doesn't do good. But regardless of the fact, we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, man.
And nothing beats consistency. So we're gonna stay consistent every Saturday live at 7 p.m. Regardless of if we're going to do a show or not, we'll still hop in live and ask or answer any questions or talk to ourselves. We're pretty good at that by now. So, which would lead us back into the term have faith. When you tell somebody to have faith, what does that mean to you?
Believing for the best outcome. I mean, people have to understand that. Well, number one is believe in something more than what yourself is, something that you understand, because to have faith means that you're not in control of the outcome. Because if I'm in complete control and I can completely manipulate it, I don't need faith for that. Right? I don't need it for that. So it's the belief of something that's higher than you that's going to ideally come out with an outcome that is favorable to whatever your situation is. So yeah, that's kind of that's what does that mean to you?
Well, a couple things, and that I was looking up with our handy dandy AI is basically the term have faith can have several related meanings depending on context. So in a religious context, it's to trust and believe in a higher power, to maintain religious convictions even without tangible proof, to live according to religious principles and teachings. So basically, just what the Bible preaches is that, like, we've never personally met Jesus, but you can have a relationship with Jesus. So when it comes to like a religious standpoint, it's very, very similar. It's very easy to understand what it means. You're basically believing in something that you can't fully see, comprehend, or understand. And that's what faith is when it comes to religion. Knowing that at the end of the day, when we die, like, there is a place for you to go. It's either going to be heaven or hell. But having faith that there is this higher power and living the way that he wants you to live. That's having faith when it comes to religious. But I also wanted to dive deeper into that in the broader sense of it. when it comes down to just living in your day-to-day life, your relationships, and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a broader sense, to trust in someone or something without requiring evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that this is really good too. How we were talking about either last week or the week before about the controlling
Mm-hmm.
on the controlling episode. If you're trusting in someone and you don't have the evidence to trust them,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have evidence not to trust them, that's having faith in them. So you're
Right.
having faith in that relationship or in that person and you trust in them.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I would always trust you because you've never given me, or I'd
Mm-hmm.
have faith to trust in you because you've never given me any reason not to.
Right.
So a lot of problems that happen in relationships or in the early talking stages or so that make you want to like lose control or gain control of that other person
Mm-hmm.
is your lack of faith in them to
Mm-hmm.
do what you think is right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also to maintain confidence in a positive outcome despite uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that one?
Confidence in a positive outcome.
To
Is that?
yeah, to maintain confidence in a positive outcome despite uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just hoping for the best, right? You
Hmm.
go get a like going to a job interview, right?
Hmm.
I believe I'm gonna get the job, right? Taking on whatever new endeavor. I believe us doing this
Hmm.
podcast, you know what I'm saying? Any new thing that you're taking on, the confidence that is
Hmm.
going to work out, so you jump into it.
But what most people do is they don't maintain the confidence in a positive outcome despite uncertainty.
Hmm.
What they do is they get in their head and they start to think about all these scenarios of why it won't work out. And why
Hmm.
do people do that?
Well, that's the tough thing, right? Having versus maintaining, just like with anything else, right? You can start going to the gym, but maintaining a gym routine is the difficult part, right?
Hmm.
So it's the same thing with this. Having it when you're very excited about everything at the start of it is very easy to have faith in that because it's new, it's fresh, and it's exciting. But once you get into it, and then you see all the nuances and all the difficulties that come with whatever it is that you've decided to take on, that's when it becomes a little bit difficult to keep and maintain. Just like with maintenance for anything, your houses, your cars, anything else, you have to be able to maintain that as well as you go through it.
Hmm.
And it's not going to be easy all the time,
No,
believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen.
it's definitely not, because having faith in something means that you don't have all the evidence.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to have a positive mental outcome for something, when you don't have all the evidence, your brain, especially in today's age where everything is so easily accessible, your brain is just going to go worst case scenario, think about worst case scenario, or
Right.
whatever it may be. So you also have to understand that when you get in these situations,
Hmm.
and I'm speaking because I get into these situations a lot, you
Yeah.
have to understand that your thoughts are not you.
Hmm.
And on the, I don't know, there's a crazy number of thoughts that each human has day, every single day. It's like 20,000 different thoughts. Like all those thoughts can't be you. So once you start to get all these thoughts, you have to realize that, hey, this isn't me. Take a step back, breathe, and try and think of a better case scenario about whatever the situation is that you're going through.
Right.
Also, to believe that things will work out even when facing challenges.
Even when.
So this is good because it's talking about the belief in things.
Right.
So just like we talk about, I think in the adversity, when we talk about an adversity episode, is that everybody's either heading to a storm, going through a storm, or coming out of a storm.
Right.
So believing that things will work out even when facing challenges, part of that is just understanding that there is always going to be challenges. You
Right.
will never have an easy life. Like there's going to be great times in your life, but once you're in those great times, you better enjoy it because what's coming? Another storm is coming. So
Right.
you have to be prepared for it, and that's where your faith and belief comes in. When those storms start to hit your life again, that you have the belief that it's going to get better because it does and it will.
Right.
And unfortunately, this is usually in the cycle where people start uh, to commit suicide. Is
Hmm.
during once they come back into that storm, they're like, this is it. There's nothing that they can do. They're like, oh, I can't do it anymore, and then they end it in that storm. only to not realize is that that's just the cycle of life. Like that's what we go through.
Right.
We go through a storm, we get out of a storm, then we're heading to the next storm. That's just how it is. So it's really important to believe that things will work out even when we're facing challenges.
Yeah, and I think that you should also have faith that there will be a storm.
Literally. And if you can understand that, once they hit, it makes it so much better. Just like anytime in life. Like I would say January-ish was like a great month for me. On
Hmm.
top of the world, a couple of months at the end of last year, everything was fine. And then little things started to happen. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
why is this happening again? Little things I got to deal with. Oh, why is this anxiety so bad right now? Why do I have to deal with this? It's like, okay, you're built for this. You already been through this. You've
Right.
been through the storm before. You
Yeah.
know how these storms go. You know what? They don't last either.
Hmm.
So figure out ways to get through it. Maybe you got to go journal and you just got to go write the word down on a piece of paper. That I did that one night. It helped. Maybe you got to go meditate. I meditate every morning. Do or go hang out with the friends, not drink, but go hang out with the friends. Go hang out with friends. Go do something artistic. Go do a dance class. Dance classes are really fun. They
Yeah,
definitely
bet.
get you
Yeah,
out
yeah, yeah, yeah,
of your comfort zone.
yeah.
Go do something. Don't just stay stuck in that mental place that you're at that's negative.
Yeah, I think also hanging on to the last victory that you had, I think will help out too, because it's
Hmm.
like as you're going through things, knowing that you went through something before and that you got out of it
Yeah,
okay
that's huge.
gives you more confidence on the thing now. It's like, oh, I've been here already. I did this
I've done
already.
it.
That last thing was way worse than this. I'll be all right. It is what it is. So
Legit.
hanging on to
I've done
that.
it. I can do it again.
Yeah,
Amen.
yeah.
Amen. Also, to trust someone's abilities, intentions, or character.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's really important, especially when it comes to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Is you have to have faith and you have to trust them, even if they haven't really given you any reason to trust them,
Right.
but they haven't given you a reason not to trust them.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't let your mind go on a wild goose chase and start to feed your brain all these negative things like, oh, what if they're doing this, what if they're doing this, what if they're doing
Mm-hmm.
this, oh, they need to check in with me, they need to keep me updated, they need to do it. No, they don't. They're a human being. They're a
Mm-hmm.
human being. They have a life. You have a life. That's where having faith and trust comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, until they break that trust,
Right.
now we're having a different conversation. Yeah, now if you're trying to still be in that, now you need to check in with me. I need to be updated where you're at, what you're doing, all those kind of things. That's when they break it. But if you're in the beginning stages of it, you have to have enough self control to let them be their own individual
Right.
and have faith that they're going to do things based on good intentions
Mm-hmm.
until they don't. If they don't, then that's when it's a different conversation. But you can't just assume based on your
Right.
previous relationships and your previous toxic relationships
Yeah.
that this one is going to be the same thing, because then you're just going to destroy that relationship from the beginning, and it could have been something that could have been beautiful.
Now,
It could
if
could have been the one.
Now, if you do have a track record of picking bad partners, maybe you should have faith that this one might be bad too. I
Oh
don't know.
my god.
I'm just, I'm just, I'm just, I'm just
I
throwing
want
that
to.
in
I want to say that
there.
maybe just keep your heart a little guarded. You know what I'm saying? You know how the fellas do it. Anyways, we get hurt and then we keep our heart guarded until we get vulnerable again, and then it don't work,
Hmm.
and then we're like,
Hmm.
we're guarded up again. We not letting nobody in here.
I mean, it be like that sometimes,
It is like
man.
that.
I feel like a healthy cautiousness is very necessary for these things. I think faith is important, but like I said, just a healthy fear of knowing that things can and things can and will go wrong. Now, depending on what your threshold is, you get to
Hmm.
determine which things that go wrong that you're okay with. Like what I tell everybody is that, especially when it comes to relationships, love is like it's just finding your favorite type of crazy and deciding that it's okay. Everybody's got to
Hmm.
have a threshold for some sort of
Oh,
crazy,
so
some sort of
cute,
nonsense. You
so
have to
cute.
anyway, you have to decide what kind of crazy you're willing to deal with,
Yep,
right? So if
hundred
you're
percent.
crazy as the loud person in public and you're okay with that, cool. That's not my crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's not the crazy that I'm going to be involved with. If your crazy is the person that be running around the house singing, doing ridiculous stuff, okay, that's what your threat to somebody else. That might be extremely annoying. So that's not your thing. You just got to find out what that is and understand that. I, understand what your tolerance and your threshold is for things like that. And create a successful bond, a successful relationship, and something you can believe in after that.
Amen. Amen. All right. Any other green flags you wanted to talk to? I feel like pretty good on the having faith part and how it pertains to relationships and 100 men fighting one gorilla. All right. But basically, to sum that part up, is having faith often implies perseverance through difficult circumstances while maintaining hope. It
Hmm.
suggests an internal conviction that goes beyond what you can prove through logic or evidence alone. It's
Hmm.
about trusting in possibilities that aren't yet visible, that you believe can materialize. Gotta have faith. In relationships, having faith might mean trusting your partner even during challenging times. In personal development, it could mean believing in your own capabilities even when facing self doubt. Have faith in yourself.
Hmm.
And that's all I got for have faith. Is there any other green flags that I know you wanted to talk about? Just having faith. That was something that was on my heart and mind. Today
Brandon
with
needs some faith, guys. Send Brandon some prayers
yeah,
for
you
some
guys,
faith.
you guys should know by now. Anything that 90% of the time, anything that we're talking about is like currently related to my life or it has been related to my life, man. And that's why we love the show because I get a vent to you guys. You guys, I get to hang out with you guys, and explain what I'm going through and how I'm going through it at the time because life ain't easy and we need people. We need people around us. We need fellowship. Um, of people around us with like minds that are going to be there to pick us up whenever we fall down.
Hmm. So yeah, a few things. Obviously, I feel like your partner having faith in something higher than the both of you is super, super important because when they don't believe in you, Jesus, Brandon's got to run to the
Don't
bathroom.
tell nobody.
Um, so, yeah, it's important for your partner to have faith in something that's higher than the both of you. Because when they can't believe in you, they should be able to believe in something else that you two are going to be able to work out. I think that's a very, very important part of the relationship that when you two aren't seeing eye to eye and it becomes very tough to relate to each other. One thing that you two both have in common is that you have something that you both believe in that you're going to get through whatever that tough time is. But yeah, so a few other green flags for people besides that. Active listening, partners attentively listening to each other. We talked about red flags and people kind of gaslighting and purposely miscommunicating. So I think that active listening is a super, super important thing because you guys got to, every now and then in a relationship, you're going to miss each other. You're going to miss each other in what you're saying. You have to do your best to understand and hear what they're saying, communicating in the way that somebody's going to understand you and hearing them in the way that they're communicating to you. Because not all the time is what your partner says is what they mean, which is why you have to actively listen. It's a science really that you have to kind of break down, but it comes down to getting to know your partner, especially for us. We talk to we in our histories we've been involved with a girl or two, and when sometimes she'll say things and it's not always exactly what she's trying to say, and so you're trying to figure things out from there. So actively listening to how she's saying it might get you a little bit closer to the goal, so you guys are on the same page. Perfect example about this. Back in the days, we had Undecided Chateau. This was some years ago where me and a couple of guys, we got an Airbnb out in Southeast DC, and we had some people come through and we were trying to shoot like a podcast. Was our first attempt at podcasting there.
When
And
was this?
this was during COVID actually. We got an Airbnb, number one, to go and record music out. And then we had like a little kickback. We invited a bunch of people we went to college with, had a dope time. The goal was that we was gonna get some footage for like music videos and stuff like that, and then we was gonna shoot like an episode of a podcast and have a discussion. Um,
Mhm.
didn't go quite how we planned it, but we did get a few songs out of it. So it, you know what I'm saying, it
So
worked
it's
out.
how it works out.
But basically we had a conversation that we were going around, and this young lady asked a question. She says, how do you feel about black love? Now, if I Malcolm and Jose, uh, every time we bring this up, it gives them an aneurysm, because after about 30 minutes of trying to have this discussion and people trying to give feedback, we realized what she was trying to ask is, how do you all feel about interracial relationships? It took us 30 minutes to figure that out, and a bunch of people going back and forth and
Mhm.
arguing about what we're trying to talk about and things like that, to the point where only thing she was asking was like, how do you feel about basically you guys dating outside of your race? And I'm like, well, why didn't you just say that? And a lot of times in your relationship, you're going to have the question of, if that's what you meant this whole time, why didn't you just say that? But that's why active listening is a green flag, super, super important. It'll allow you to kind of get to that place just a little bit quicker. Um, Brandon, how do you feel about active
Wow.
listening? How important do you feel something like that
Yeah,
is?
so I was active listening to figure out what we were talking about because
There it
I
is.
ran to
As he
I
ran to
ran
the
to the
bathroom.
bathroom. I was like, okay, active listening. Um, hold on one second.
Okay, take
Because
your
I
time.
wanted to talk about something next after that that kind of leads into it.
Hmm.
Um, so what? Active listening? Why is it important?
Why is it important? Why is it a green flag? Why is it important?
Well, I think it's just important if you really care about somebody, then you should be listening to the things that they tell you,
Right.
so that way you know how to react in the future. Like if you're with somebody, they're always going to give you the little cues, little cheat codes
Right.
on like how to take care of them.
Hmm.
So like if their favorite color is pink,
Right.
if they don't like cinnamon, it's
Hmm.
like it's just little cues. Or if this is their favorite anime character, whatever it may be,
Hmm.
you got to start picking up on those cues, so that way when uh, birthday or Christmas or something like that comes rolling around, you don't have to spend a whole bag
Right.
to get them something that's meaningful.
Right.
And I think that that's where a lot of guys, especially guys with money, they get lost in transition, think that they got to spend so much money, which I'll spend a decent amount of money, but it's also going to be things that are meaningful. Like, oh,
Hmm.
you said you got anxiety. Oh, then I'm going to get like a gift that relates to that. I'm
Hmm.
not going to tell you guys my secrets, but that that's a little, that's a little bit, that's a little bit of my secrets. But
Brandon's a thoughtful gift giver.
so yeah, so that's what you have to do when it comes to active listening in order to basically they're going to tell you how to treat them, how they want to be treated, and how you can take care of them.
Hmm.
Simple as that. And it's super important early on in those stages because
Right.
they don't want to keep repeating themselves, saying the same thing over and over again. I'm sure you guys have been in a relationship where the girl, after you guys are dating, she's like, I done told you this 100 times. And it's like, did you really? Did you really? You know,
Maybe.
maybe you're
Maybe she
not
did.
listening. Maybe she did. Maybe you're
Yeah.
just not listening. So just make sure that you guys are practicing active listening. So I did want to how that actually pertains into communication in relationships as well. So why is communication a green flag in relationships?
Why is it's communication, man? That's the only thing we talk about. Every Communication has been a consistent theme of everything that we talk about pretty much every week. It always goes
It
back to that.
always goes back. So let me ask you this: what if it's a person who is 90% of the time great at communication, 10% of the time terrible at communication?
Hmm.
How would you handle that relationship?
You take it. They talk about in that I don't know if it was just the Tyler Perry movie, but that was the first time that I heard
Hmm.
about it, where they talk about the 80/20 rule. When
Okay.
basically, you have that partner that's 80% of everything that you want. Now, then let's say on the side you meet somebody who has that 20% that this person doesn't have.
Hmm.
20% looks real good when you're not getting it. And then you make the mistake of leaving that 80% to go get that 20%. And now you're missing everything else. So if somebody is great at communicating 90% of the time, that's a great percentage. I think that's much higher than most people are going to
All right,
be
what
at.
if it's like 60-40?
Okay, all right. Now we're getting to the
Let
tough
me
ones.
what if it's like 60-40?
If it's 60-40, I think it depends on what you guys are missing communication on. Because even still, I think that as long as it progresses during the relationship, because if you start at 60-40 on that, okay, cool. But as you grow and progress with each other, you should eventually be able to make it up, ideally to that 90-10. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if it's 60-40 now, and then 5-10 years from now it's still 60-40, then there seems like there might be a little bit of a problem there. Somebody's not actively listening
Yeah.
if that's what the case is, and you're not taking mental notes for the next
Mm-hmm.
time you guys have to discuss something like that.
So, here on communication is essential in relationships for several fundamental reasons. The
Hmm.
fundamentals of relationship. So, these are the basics of the relationship fundamentals. It creates understanding. Clear communication helps partners understand each other's thoughts, feelings, needs, and perspectives, which is very important because we all have very, very different perspectives on life based on how we were brought up and raised.
Right.
So, without understanding this, misinterpretations and assumptions can lead to unnecessary conflict. So, it goes back to like having faith as well. So,
Hmm.
that's why it's important to communicate with your partner. Basically, you got to see the world how they see the world.
Hmm.
And that's how you communicate. That's how communication works. You get them to understand how you see the world and
Hmm.
vice versa. It also builds trust, which trust is an essential part of a relationship.
Hmm.
Open and honest communication fosters trust. When people feel they can share openly and be heard without judgment, they feel safer in their relationship.
Hmm.
So they can be more vulnerable. If at any time as I'm going over these, you got something to say, just jump in.
Hmm.
Third is resolves conflict. Healthy communication provides the tools to work through disagreements. It allows partners to express concerns, respectfully listen to each other, and find mutually acceptable
Yeah,
solutions.
let's pause right there.
Mhm.
Actually, now, conflict resolution, I think,
It's very important.
it's very important, and it's a very hot button issue, because of how sometimes we differ in terms of how we work, right? So the age old stereotype is that when, let's say, your girl is venting about a problem, your first thing to do is to fix it. You want to resolve whatever the conflict is.
Yep.
Well, she just wants to talk about it, and then now a conflict is created because you want to resolve the conflict while the other one just wants to express the difficulty with it. um so having a healthy balance, I think, of knowing where and what that is at what times, maybe sometimes you need to ask the question, is this something that you'd like to have resolved, or is this something that you just want to talk about right now, so that way we're on the same page. So I think that yeah, that's what all I had on that.
Hmm. Resolves conflict resolution is super important, especially for people in a relationship that don't really are like anti-conflict. They run away from the conflict,
Oh
which is
yeah,
something
that
like I do. Then
too.
you bottle everything up, and then it just makes it terrible.
Yeah.
Another reason why communication is so important is it deepens emotional intimacy. So sharing vulnerabilities, dreams, fears, and joys create stronger emotional bonds. This kind of sharing requires effective communication.
Hmm.
Prevents resentment, which is definitely true. Uh,
Right.
when issues aren't communicated, they often fester into resentment. Regular
Hmm.
communication helps address small issues before they become major problems. So, this is
Hmm.
why it's so important not to make your partner check in, but to want to check in with them and see how they're doing. So that way, these little things that might pop up, you're not going to keep holding on to them. And then at that point, you're creating resentment to them because they never told you this and then this happened. Then you're like, all right, now we're fighting for no reason. So
Hmm.
make sure you're always communicating with your partner, especially in those. Dare I see your question? I'll get there in a minute. Or I think it's a question.
No, it's comment.
Oh, comment. All
Yeah.
right. Um, all right, we'll get there. Supports growth. Relationships over time. Relationships evolve over time, and effective communication helps partners adapt to changes, whether they're external circumstance or internal personal growth. 100%. Validates feelings, being heard and understood. A basic human need. Good communication provides that this validation and makes people feel valued in a relationship, especially if your love language is words of affirmation. All
Hmm.
right. And then yeah, Daryl said body language is huge with passive communication. I know my lady is feeling certain ways without saying anything with her body language. This is a fundamental learning and street smart skills too. Yeah, 100% body language. I forget what book I was reading. They were saying body language is like is a high percentage of
Oh yeah,
communication on how somebody
most of
it
it.
was actually in that in the book Never Split the Difference, which is a book about negotiation. It was like 78% body language, 7% tonality or
Hmm. Yeah, what? Hold on.
tonality, your tonality on how you
Yeah,
say something,
yeah.
and then it was the actual words. So yeah, it was something like that. But body language was definitely a high percentage, and then it was tonality, and then it was
Hmm.
whatever I just said after that.
Yeah, yeah,
The actual words, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The words, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the actual words. But yeah, what's your take on body language in relationship?
I think body language is one of those
What
things
you
that
mean?
is super important to be able to read. Um, Now I'm a person where and I'm trying to get better at this, admittedly, but like if you walk around moping around because you waiting for me to ask you what's wrong, bro, I have not yet developed a threshold for patience for things like that. But I'm trying to get there. Because for me, if there's a problem, I'd like you to say it. But body language, the way that somebody acts, and somebody the way that your partner is moving, I think it is important to understand exactly what that means, so that way you have a better idea of what they're feeling, even during conversation, their body language during conversation. You can tell when people
Hmm.
are comfortable or uncomfortable. A lot of guys, when you be trying to run up on girls up in the streets and you be trying to talk to them, their body language will tell you if they're feeling you or not.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
you see it all the time where the girl is clearly uninterested in that conversation,
Oh, those are the
and
funniest
and they're
things.
still
I done
talking.
seen one last night. So I'm coming down the stairs. These guys that had a table on the first floor, and then there's two girls that at the end of the night that were walking out. You know what I'm talking about? The one who knows.
Who know? Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right.
yeah, yeah,
That we
yeah,
had talked to
yeah.
briefly. Yeah, yeah. So these guys are like trying to holler at them, and she's like, or the guy's like, "Hey, why don't y'all come with us to the section?" She's like, "I already seen you talking to multiple women tonight." And she just walked out the door, bro. I'm just right behind. I'm just laughing at it the whole time. Besides stories, and I thought that was
That's
hilarious.
funny. Yeah, I
What's your
mean,
take on body language in a relationship?
yeah,
I
my
mean, you better have good body language, or you're not gonna be in a relationship for very much longer.
what
What you mean?
what's good body language? What's that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
You said it.
Good body. Oh, mean like positive body language. Like it can't always be like negative.
Hmm.
I hate a Debbie Downer, like a person that's super negative all the
Hmm.
time. Like, nah, I can't deal with that. If you're going through a season in your life, just like we talk about, if you're going through a season in your life to where everything you're overwhelmed and everything you
Hmm.
feel if you feels like it's crashing in, then yeah, I understand. I'm gonna be here and empathize with you. But if
Hmm.
it's always like that,
Yeah,
like every day we come home, oh, this sucks, this sucks. It's like I
yeah,
hate this person at work. They did it. Like,
yeah,
whoa, come on, man. Don't give me that negativity.
yeah.
You
Don't
know,
be walking around with your shoulders slouched all the time,
yeah, not
man.
all the time. I mean, I understand there's going to be seasons that we go through where you're going to need to be there and empathize with your partner. But other than that, yeah, body language is super important in relationships. I mean, especially when you're talking to somebody, that's how you really dig if they're feeling you or not.
Yeah, yeah, man. If their knees not facing you,
What up? What up? What up?
just, just a little
What
thing of,
up, my Virgo
oh,
homie?
oh gosh, who is that?
Just I went live on the on my actual IG too.
Oh, look at you
Yeah, I never did that before. So, but if you guys want better audio, it's on the YouTube.
on the YouTube.
Go to Real Deal Combos. Click the YouTube link. Go to YouTube, and then you guys can actually get like the better audio. Or you guys just have the crappy audio over there. Up to
Okay.
you. But go to YouTube. Yeah, I think that's it. What else we got?
You tell me what are the other green? You're going through a bunch of different things. What else you have
I
there?
just wanted to talk about those ones, just whatever we got to, and I feel like that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So to wrap things up here, we talk about having faith and having communication,
Mm-hmm.
and And Daryl, is that a question? Yeah. All right. So before we go in there, we'll answer this question. Sometimes you can say things your body says otherwise. Simple. Someone is depressed or worst case feeling worse and suicidal, but they say they're fine. How do you deal?
Mm, that's
Mm.
a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Right.
Um, it is a good question because it is very hard to understand, and especially when it comes with like suicidal thoughts, you really have to be there for people because when I'm going through problems, I'm not telling that many people
Yeah, that's a man thing.
how
We got to get better with that.
that I'm not telling how many people because at the end of the day, they're going to tell me things that I don't want to hear. And I don't want to consistently hear things that I don't want to hear from those people. So then I cut them off and I don't want to talk to anybody. And I'm very much of as much of an extrovert that you guys see me as and think I am. I'm very, very introverted and I like to be on my own. But when you, yeah, if someone who is depressed is going to lock themselves away from other people. So it would be the kind of people that you haven't seen in a while that you would check in on. They're not going to reach out to you, but you haven't seen them in a while, so you want to check in on them. Those are the ones that are going to be that fall in that category that maybe worst case get a little suicidal, have suicidal thoughts, which I think it's normal too. I think that everyone has had those before. It's just about acting on them. So
Mhm.
definitely don't act on them. If you think you're going to act on them, then that's when you got to seek help. What's the number?
I
There's
don't know. Logic made a song.
it's like a 911, but it's maybe 4111, 411, 511, one of those. Just dial one of those. I have no idea what it is. Maybe I'll find it. But yeah, it's typically going to be those people where you don't hear from a lot of, and they kind of just isolate themselves. And when you see them, they're going to be really, really happy
Mhm.
because that's just a front that people put on. And I mean, I know I've done it before, being like super depressed or anxious. It's like, all right, time to look like this, hey,
Mhm.
instead of just I'm depressed. And also the problem with society too is like when people are sad, other people don't want to be around them. So that's a lose lose for that person. So it takes a good friend to actually reach out and figure out what's going on with them, making sure that they're okay, letting them know that you're there for them, and all of that.
I think that when it comes to something like this, there's a certain gentleness that you have with people who you can blatantly tell are going through things, but won't tell you that they're going through things. It's one of those things to where you want to get something out of them so they can talk about it, but you don't want to push too hard because it gets really easy for people in a state like that to shut down. So really what I do a lot of the time, if I can tell somebody having some problems, I'll ask them what's wrong and they'll say nothing. I'm like, all right, well, whenever you want to talk about it, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Then next time I run to them, hey, how you doing? Okay, are you really good? You sure? All right, cool. Whenever you're ready to talk about it, I'll be here for you. You know what I'm saying? And it's just kind of that little constant checkup. And then at
Mm-hmm.
some point, they might give you a little bit. Okay, cool. I'll try not to dive in too deep, too fast. We'll talk about it surface level. Okay, cool. Then maybe the next time we have a conversation, they give you a little bit more. It's just
Mm-hmm.
being able to just be there and present with them so they're comfortable enough to get that out, especially when you can tell, like you said, their words and their feelings aren't 100% matching up. So like I said, I think you just have to be a little bit gentle with them,
Yeah.
be present with them, and they'll give you more and more as it go, but you have to be patient. You can't get aggravated with them. You know what I'm saying? You got
Yes.
you got
Sometimes it's just giving your time and attention, and that could really help. But at the end of the day, you can't control what other people do, so you can't ever put that burden on you. If something like that does happen, you can just try and be an ear for that person. But for somebody that is going through something that deep, they're usually not going to tell you. They're usually not going to tell you right away. You got to kind of pry it out of them after a little bit of time, and it's usually going to be that the people who are happy, but then the people that go and hide for weeks at a time or whatever it may be. And you're like, oh, I haven't seen this person. This person usually goes here at this day, and
Mhm.
they haven't been here in the last couple of times. That's where the depression is kicking in them. That's when you want to reach out to them. Hey, I'm here if you need an ear. Sometimes that's all people need. Because when you're going through something like that, you don't want to reach out. You don't think you can reach out. You don't know who you can reach out to. And then it's just an endless cycle. And then you just think you're too lonely. And then boom, bad stuff happens.
Hmm.
All right. Yeah, all right. I feel you there. I didn't think it was about you. All right, but to end things off, today we switched it up. I don't know. We just wanted to talk about some random stuff that was on our heart, and then going to some green flags. We've been talking about some red flags. So talk about some positive things in relationships. But I think the one of the most important things that has been on my heart over the past couple of days is just having faith. Not only having faith in God and Jesus to help me live the life that they set out for me to live. Having faith in doing the work of things where I don't see the outcome of it, but I have a belief that it's going to turn out good, even though it's ground everything that I'm been saying I'm working on. I'm still working on. It's still very very ground level. Hopefully something's up by the end of this month. That's at least a goal for one of them. But having faith in that, having faith in the relationships that I'm in, even though they don't always go the way that I want. And you
Hmm.
talk to other people and they're like, well, maybe that's happening, and then you let your mind wander. So it's having faith in the relationships that you're in, trusting the people that are around you. Trust people until they prove that they're untrustworthy.
Hmm.
That's all you got to do. Let people be people. You can't control the people. Have faith in yourself, most importantly. Working on these projects, I'm sometimes I feel like I have too much to do where I don't do anything. Cleon doesn't know that because he's just an absolute worker bee. Whatever's in front of him, he's going to get it done. No ifs, ands, or but. He doesn't understand what it's like to be like a person that gets overwhelmed with too much work. He doesn't understand that because he's just trained like a machine to work, 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 work. And some of you may be.
Yeah.
To what I say to y'all, to you guys, you need to take a day off, man. Chill out. And for the people like me, where once you get all this work, you just feel so overwhelmed, have somebody hold you accountable
Hmm.
with the work that you did in that day. It doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be a little bit. But have somebody that you report to at the end of each night that holds you accountable to get progress in your goals. All right. What's your final thoughts, Cleon?
So final thoughts on faith is believing something higher than yourself is extremely important because it gives you, I don't want to say an out, but an out. At the end of the day, once you believe in something that's higher than you, it's out of your hands. It is up to you, obviously, to do the work, but the outcome is no longer up to you. So it's a sense of relief for most people. Obviously, not the control freaks, and obviously you got to work on that yourself. um, but believing that things will work out. That's how I live my life on a daily basis. People ask me a lot of things about the thing because, like Brandon said, I'm handling a lot of things on a daily basis. My day starts when I wake up, and it doesn't end until I go to sleep. I don't have a lot of time for extras. And a lot of people ask me, "Oh, why don't you?" I'm like, "Hey, man, it'll work out. It is what it is." I'm like, "Oh, you're not scared something's going to happen?" I'm like, "Maybe." Something might happen, but at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, I don't live my life in a room of fear. I live it in a place of faith, because that's just how I was taught. And one of the better and most effective teachings that I was able to grow in. It allows me to understand that these things are not up to me. How well these things go are not up to me. I can only put everything I have into it, and whatever happens after that is what happens. Like I've been saying since college in 2013 or 2014, it is what it is because it can't be what is not. That's
Amen.
just
Amen.
that's
It
just
is what it is because it can't be what it's not.
and that's just what it is at the end of the day. So whatever ends up is whatever is going to end up. But at the end of the day, as long as I know that I did everything in my power to make those things work, cool. I go to bed at night and I sleep well sometimes.
Amen. 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 Amen.
That's all I got.
All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of the Real Deal Podcast. And we'll see you next week. Remember, comment, like, share. Help us get these views up. We
Yeah, man.
growing. We growing slowly, but we'll grow a lot faster with the help of all of you. So we
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys. Keep sharing it. Give us feedback, anything. that you guys want us to talk about, or you want to talk about with us, you want to come on the show, let us know. We'll figure something out. And we appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And we'll see you next week.
Is that